Spoiler alert. This episode contains spoilers of the topic, probably a movie or TV show. If you want to watch the said movie or TV show without knowing anything about it, stop this video and go watch it, unless you've watched it already. Then continue with the video. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. It's the holiday season once again, people, and you've caught me decorating a little bit. It's the effort that counts, though. What am I going to talk about this time? So far, I've talked about a really great Christmas movie and 2 associated Christmas video games. Maybe We Wish You a Turtle Christmas?
Hey kids, how about helping me sing my favorite Christmas song?
The whole with pepperoni, fa la 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 la, mustard, eggplant, and bologna, fa la 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 la.
Maybe not.
Motion alert. Backyard door.
This jackass doesn't know what's coming to them. Good old booby traps. Inspired by Home Alone. You know what, speaking of which, Home Alone just celebrated its 35th anniversary, just recently too. You know what, screw it, why don't we just talk about that for this holiday episode? Home Alone is about an 8-year-old kid named Kevin who gets left home alone around Christmas time after his family leaves for a vacation to Paris. Coincidentally, he thinks he made his family disappear after being ridiculed by them the night before and wishing to never see them again. He takes advantage of being home alone by doing all the things that he's been told not to do. Throughout, he becomes friends with his elderly neighbor, defends his family's home from the wet bandits, and learns how much he loves and appreciates his family. If you don't know who John Hughes is, just pause this video and go watch some of his movies, and then just come back. What inspired John Hughes to write Home Alone was when he was packing for vacation and going through a list of things not to forget. What started off as a little thought, well, I better not forget my kids, led down a path to other thoughts, and the next thing you know was pen to paper, notes being jotted, and a rough draft of Home Alone was created. There was also a scene from the movie Uncle Buck that potentially inspired Home Alone. The character Miles, played by Macaulay Culkin, is looking through the door mail slot and sees 3 creepy characters because of an overactive imagination. Warner Brothers was originally going to finance and distribute Home Alone, with John Hughes saying that he could have the movie made with a budget under $10 million. Yeah, that didn't work out, because the budget grew to over $14 million. Warner Brothers dropped the movie, but thankfully, 20th Century Fox was there to catch it. John Hughes had met with Fox, secretly I should add, before Warner Brothers dropped the movie, due to having a gut feeling that the movie would go over budget. The budget would increase to $18 million. Thankfully, Fox was cool with that. For the director, Hughes asked Patrick Reed Johnson to direct, but he was already committed to directing Spaced Invaders. They would eventually work together on Baby's Day Out. Hughes then went to Chris Columbus. Chris was set to direct another Hughes Christmas project, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. But due to Chris Columbus and Chevy Chase not having good chemistry, Chris dropped out of that project and was offered to direct Home Alone. Chris loved the story, but wanted to add more emotion to it. He would do an uncredited rewrite, adding the story plot of Old Man Marley. Now, there was a lot of casting for this movie, so I'm just gonna go over the main ones. You have Macaulay Culkin, who plays Kevin McAllister, Catherine O'Hara and John Hurd as Kate and Peter McAllister, Kevin's parents, Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern as Harry and Marv, the Wet Bandits, and John Candy as Gus Polinski, a kind-hearted polka musician who helps Kate get home to Kevin. Here's the Rolodex of the rest of the cast. John Hughes had suggested Macaulay Culkin to play Kevin after working with him on Uncle Buck. Chris Columbus didn't want to cast Macaulay right away. He wanted to see other kids auditioning. According to Chris, after meeting 400 kids who auditioned for Kevin, Chris realized that none of these kids could play Kevin as great as Macaulay. Before they were a stand-up comedian, John Mulaney was asked to audition for the role of Kevin. He was in a children's sketch comedy show at the time and was asked to audition. It came down to John's parents deciding if he should audition for Home Alone, which they declined the offer, and broke the news to John while he was getting a booster shot. Great timing, Mom and Dad. Daniel Stern dropped out of Home Alone briefly due to the film schedule being extended with no pay change. He was briefly replaced by Daniel Roebuck, but due to lack of chemistry with Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern was brought back onto the project. Chris Farley had auditioned to play the moody Santa Claus impersonator that Kevin visits. Apparently, Farley showed up drunk to the audition. That would have been interesting to see Chris in the movie. The closest that we got was when Macaulay hosted SNL. John Candy was only available for one day. They took 23 hours and used that time wisely. He improvised everything and was the only actor allowed to go off script. He was paid only $414 as a favor for John Hughes. Apparently, John Lovitz and Robert De Niro were asked to play Harry, but both turned down the role. Kelsey Grammer, known from Frasier, was going to play the pretentious Uncle Frank, but he wasn't available for filming. Filming for Home Alone was roughly 3 months. Now, this may be surprising to know, but there were hardly any scenes filmed in the McAllister house, mainly exteriors. Most were filmed on replicated sets based on the interiors of the house, for spatial reasons. Film production uses a lot of equipment. They need all the space they can get, and also claustrophobia sucks. The replicated interior house sets were built and filmed in the gymnasium of New Trier High School. This school was used for filming scenes for a previous Hughes project, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. A filmmaker like Steven Spielberg would normally film in a professional soundstage or on a lot, rarely on location. John Hughes and company were like, "F that, we're building some sets and filming in a school." That's one of my new goals in life. A great advantage of filming in the school was using their empty swimming pool to film the scene where Kevin was running through the neighbor's flooded basement. They also filmed interior plane scenes in the basketball courts of the school. Most of filming took place in Winnetka, Illinois. The church scenes were filmed in 2 different churches. The interiors were filmed at the Grace Episcopal Church in Oak Park, with exteriors filmed at Trinity United Methodist Church in Wilmette. Even scenes that are supposed to take place in Paris, France, were faked and filmed in Illinois. All the airport scenes, even the Paris airport, were filmed on location at the Chicago O'Hare International Airport. It took 4 days to shoot all of these scenes in the airport, mainly for the family running through all the crowds to get to their plane on time. It was strategically choreographed, but there would be some blunders. There were many stunts done for Home Alone, which caused some anxiety on set. The stunts originally were supposed to be done with safety harnesses, but removing them from the film would have been time-consuming and financially dissolving, so a risk had to be taken. The stunts were done with no harnesses and performed by Troy Brown and Leon Delaney as stunt doubles for Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern. Macaulay had a stunt double as well, that being Larry Nicholas, who was in his 30s doing stunts for a 9-year-old kid. The stunts had to be strategically planned out, based on the cinematography, all done by Julio Macat. For capturing the stunts, Julio had a 3-camera setup, with a 4th small bonus camera just in case. That way, they could capture the same stunt from multiple angles, save time, and less risk to the stuntmen. The bonus cam came in handy with the clothing iron scene. They wanted a POV shot of the iron falling towards Marv's face, if the iron had eyes. They took the bonus camera in a rig, tied a rope to it, and dropped it down the laundry chute. They had the rope leveled so the camera would stop falling right above Daniel Stern's face without hitting him. And supposedly, this camera weighed between 300 to 400 pounds. Not only were the stuntmen taking risks, but so was Daniel Stern. Macaulay became so involved with not only acting, but the behind-the-scenes production of Home Alone. The crew gave him a home video camera, and he ended up filming a lot of BTS for Home Alone, along with interviews with the cast and crew. I would have thought this would have inspired him to become a documentary filmmaker, but he probably saw all the work it takes to make one, and potentially said, yeah, I think I'll just stick to play and pretend. Bruce Broughton was originally asked to score the music for Home Alone. He had agreed, but had to cancel last minute due to being busy with scoring for the movie The Rescuers Down Under. Chris Columbus started joking around about getting the movie scored by John Williams, who I mentioned before in The Pointless History of Jaws. But as time went on, Columbus thought it wasn't a bad idea. Through Steven Spielberg, Columbus got in contact with Williams, who created the iconic score for Home Alone. John Williams never disappoints. Ever. The spider on Marv's face was supposed to be a mechanical spider. The crew felt it didn't look real, so they ended up using the real deal on Daniel Stern's face. The scream was dubbed in afterwards, that way Daniel didn't scare and get bit by the spider. Like I said before, the stuntmen weren't the only people risking their lives in this movie, so was Daniel Stern. During rehearsal of the scene where Harry and Marv capture Kevin, Joe Pesci accidentally bit Macaulay's finger. Macaulay still has the scar to this day. Both Joe Pesci and Daniel Stern struggled with not cursing on camera, especially Joe Pesci, considering previous roles. Joe had to do fake cursing or cartoon cursing.
What? 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 What happened? Get that little.
In replacement for the word, he would use the word fridge. The only curse in the movie, unless you count the word hell, was the word. During the scene where Marv sticks his foot through the dog door and his shoe falls off. You know, that does bring up a question. Was the McAllisters supposed to have a dog? Update, they did. Listen to this.
No, we're not bringing the dog. Put it in the kennel for the. Hey, get off.
Well, there you go. My question was answered. The nail that Marv steps on is a fake rubber nail. You'd have to be a method actor to step on a real one. The blowtorch scene was an interesting camera trick, also known as Pepper's trick. There was a sheet of glass at a 45-degree angle in front of the camera. Behind the glass was a mannequin head with a blowtorch spewing the flame at it. Joe Pesci would stand off camera in a specific spot so that his reflection on the glass would line up and hide the mannequin, making it look like his noggin was getting cooked. The BB that hits Marv's head when Kevin shoots him was not CGI, but old school, hand-drawn, frame-by-frame animation of a bullet. It was done by a guy who lived in his mom's basement in Chicago and was paid $600 to do this. This guy was the unsung hero of Home Alone. During the scene where Harry gets glued and feathered, if you look very closely, Kevin's dinner changes from mac and cheese to some kind of TV dinner. Not to disappoint anyone, but the movie within the movie, Angels with Filthy Souls, is not a real movie, despite many believing it is. It was just a really well shot scene for a fake film noir gangster movie that pushed the plot for Home Alone forward. Some claim it was a real movie, but that could be chalked up to bad memory, or the Mandela effect. The filming for this scene took one day, and it starred Ralph Foote as Johnny and Michael Guido as Snakes. Home Alone was released on November 16th, 1990. Great, I missed that date too. Late to everything this year! Home Alone went on to become an instant success, leading to a really great sequel, an okay threequel that's a personal guilty pleasure of mine, and not good sequels and video games, especially that one with the 8-bit Macaulay Culkin face. Home Alone made Macaulay Culkin a star, going on to act in other great movies, including his brother Kieran, who just won an Oscar this year. Beyond the slapstick humor of two stooges getting their clock cleaned by paint buckets and clothing irons, there was also an emotional aspect about the importance of family that amplified the story and movie. Simply put, Home Alone is another classic Christmas movie that has aged like fine wine in the past 35 years.
Motion alert. Backyard door.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animal. Not you, though. Hope you have a great holiday season.